In today's video, I'm going to talk about what you can do if you're experiencing hopelessness in your career. Tune in. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name's Fola, and here on Deep Mind Squared, we talk all things bridging mental wellness and spirituality for nurses. I myself am a psychiatric nurse turned shamanic practitioner and Reiki master teacher. And my intention with this is to highlight some of the things that have impacted me when I was starting to feel cynical and really hopeless around the workplace, and what are some indications that might be showing up for you. So thankful for the question that came from someone in the Telegram group, Ivana, and it's great to have some interactions with you. So if there are any other questions you'd like answered, then feel free to leave them in the comments. But right now, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you're updated on any future video releases. As a psych nurse, we talk about black humor, or that dark humor. And it really is a thing that's supported me, at least in my career, and many other nurses. It's not black humor like Chris Rock or Chris Tucker and all those African-American comedians. That's not what I'm talking about. But sometimes I have the issue differentiating between the two there. But this is about us using sarcasm or really kind of dark forms of humor to cope with some of the things that we experience as nurses. I mean, I'll be honest, I have had very intense situations come up that my life has sometimes been in danger. So of course we would try to cope with that by turning it into humor. I think though that we might sometimes let dark humor, this black humor, go a little too far. And to me, that's an indication of burnout amongst staff. So what are the signs that this might be happening for you? I think if you're using a lot of that dark humor, black humor, and that's the only way in which you're coping with some of the crazy traumatic stuff that's happening around you in the workplace, that might be a sign that you're feeling helpless and hopeless and might be really burnt out. This is an important part for you to just acknowledge that it's okay wherever you might be. Have some compassion for yourself. It comes to a point where we all have that sort of experience in our career, and that's totally fine. It's a matter now of what do you want to do about that. Maybe it's accessing some type of support, like talking with a therapist or joining a peer group. So for myself, it was becoming very intense where it really felt as though I had this disconnect from the people I was working with. I wasn't able to relate as much. I didn't really want to be in the workplace. A lot of the negative sort of thoughts or opinions were coming up for me when usually I'd be in a much more empathetic place when it came to maybe providing treatment plans and treatment options or doing an assessment. But eventually it got to this point for me where I could really see and hear the conversations amongst my colleagues of some pretty negative things being said, and not leaving me very proud to say that I worked within these certain areas of nursing. It's really a challenge when you have a bunch of staff joined together and almost bullying on a patient. What you can hear from what I'm saying is that there are some healthy ways to cope through dark humor, black humor, and maybe making jokes or certain comments. But when it's at the detriment of another human being's mental health or wellness and you're stigmatizing against them, I'd like to think that's pretty much unhealthy. So what was happening for me was I was getting a lot of anger towards my colleagues, towards people working in the nursing field and within psychiatry. And I could tell it was really impacting how I perceived this area that I was in. When that anger is coming up like that, definitely is indicative of a burnout or some stress underlying whatever might be going on inside. There's probably a bunch of other things you could say are underlying this cynicism and this helpless, hopelessness sort of feeling. But what exactly can you do to move through that? I did mention before the importance of talking with someone. So accessing a therapist or someone through an employee assistance program or even a peer nurse, which is kind of what an organization of nurse-to-nurse peer support does, can be really supportive on breaking through any of those sort of helpless feelings, because here you're going to be given some tools to empower yourself. And also you're going to have a place that you can talk about whatever issues might be going on in a safe and constructive way. And I feel like talking with someone is part of that general umbrella of self-care, which is uber important. So whatever that looks like for you, add in the massage, going for a run, or doing some form of exercise. Engaging with people outside of work is also really important in maintaining that social structure. As nurses, we can really stay kind of in our little clique of group of nurses, and as all much fun that could be, I don't think we need to be talking about work in work and outside of work. So we need to maintain that level of self-care. Which leads me to the next point, which I think is about finding that work and life balance. There needs to be a separation between work and our actual life outside of work. And if we're not doing that and we give all of our identity and ourself to this field of nursing, then we're going to have a lot of challenges as we continue our career. Being aware of that separation or need for separation from work and life is super important. So make sure that you're doing that. And it's not always going to be easy. You might have to really set some firm boundaries with people and with yourself. And I guess the last one I would suggest to support you if you're finding that this cynicism and helplessness is just a bit too much would be to consider maybe stepping away from the field. Whether this means you leave nursing completely, don't think that necessarily needs to happen. The thing that supported me the most was stepping away from full-time work. Lots of options for nurses nowadays to go into like casual work or just a part-time position. Do whatever works for you. I know lots of nurses who are working multiple different jobs at different sites because this helps balance their life and gives them that sense of like separation from being too overly involved, which sometimes also leads to that cynicism. Whatever it might be for you, please just make sure that you take care of yourself and know that it's okay to feel helpless and hopeless about the situation. But if it's getting too much so that maybe you're having some really dark thoughts, then please reach out to someone that you trust. This is not supposed to be what happens for anyone, no matter what their career choice is. But especially for nurses, we have to take care of ourselves because we're so focused on everyone else sometimes that we really miss out on our own self-care. Thanks for joining in today, and feel free to share this video with anyone that you think might be suffering with this place of cynicism and helplessness. Feel free to leave a comment about what's worked for you on your journey in stepping through any of these sort of dark spaces. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Take care.